Hello everyone, I welcome you all in this session. I am Sajal Singh, the Program Director of Step Up Mentorship Program, and with me we have Richa, the Mentorship Manager of this program, and together we will be discussing a lot of things. And the reason why we have conducted this webinar is that now 9 months are left, and since 9 months are left, we call it as the orange zone. The reason why we call it as orange zone is because perhaps we feel that if you don't mend your ways in next 1 month, definitely the next attempt will be difficult for you to crack. So it's very important because after 2 months, we'll start with the red zone, which means that by that time, if you do something, if you change your strategy, it will be very, very late for the next year attempt. So that's why it's very, very important that you understand how to prioritize your next 9 months, where to focus upon, how to balance upon prelims and mains. So all that we will be talking in today's session. So Richa, can you explain the agenda for today?
Yes, sir. So the agenda for today would be dealing about the following topics. First of all, how would you utilize the upcoming next months, which are going to be very crucial for your examination if you're planning your attempt in 2025. The second one is what should be the strategy of prelims examination, as we know that the cutoffs are declining because the toughness of the paper is increasing. So we'll be talking about its very detailed strategy of prelims. Then this is also specially dedicated to the working professionals. So working professionals basically struggle a little bit more as compared to a full-time working aspirant or full-time preparing aspirant. So we will be specifically dealing their challenges and how and what should be the way forward for them. The next is how to maintain consistency in the examination. Consistency is the king in declaring you the winner in this examination. So we will be talking about this in detail. Then answer writing practice. When should you start and how should you make efforts towards the right strategy of answer writing? That we will be dealing. What is the role of a mentor in ensuring your success in the examination? We'll be dealing with that, along with the other pain points. For example, how to integrate current affair resources because there are an umpteen number of them. So we'll be dealing with that, and how to maintain the motivation and burnout, especially in this time where you have to perform ruthlessly. So all of these things we'll be dealing in this particular session.
Okay, so some of this part I will be doing and some of the part Richa will be doing. So let's start with the first very, very important thing. And before we start, I think let me also announce you that the new batch of Step Up Mentorship Program has been launched, and it is starting from 9th of September, which means we are closing the batch on 9th of September. It's not starting because the day you get enrolled, within next 2-3 days, we start your mentorship. So 9th is the date when we are, closing off the admissions. So as you know that these are the basic features that we have. We have mentorship at 4 level. So you have your personal mentor, you have, group mentorship by myself, by Richa ma'am, and also by an IAS officer. And other than that, we have different aspects like unique study plan, personalized timetable, because everybody of you is unique. So that is there. And then we also have, the workbooks, the other aspects like current affairs, essays, all of that is part of this program. So the whole objective of this program is to translate your knowledge into application so that you get good marks in prelims and mains exam. So we are also inserting a form here, and that is basically what we call as a kind of a scholarship form. So you fill that form and ultimately we will be providing you the requisite scholarships also. So you fill that form also, it will be there in the comment box. Okay, so let's start.
Also, so one more thing I would like to highlight that this program is like a Netflix subscription for you. So all the components for preparing and for performing in UPSC examination, from a detailed timetable to a structured plan to the workbooks, which is basically notes that generally toppers create. Let's say the test series of both prelims and mains, evaluation, assessment, feedback, everything comes just with the subscription of Step Up Mentorship. This is the whole ideology behind Step Up. And now, sir, you should take the stage.
Okay, so first, very, very, very important thing, mistakes to avoid in these 9 months. These are the crucial mistakes with many of our students who got good ranks. They actually committed in their initial few attempts, and then over the time they rectified And these are the things that definitely based on my experience of mentorship and based on the whole journey, I believe that you need to avoid. First, very, very important, prelims versus mains inertia. Now, what people do is that they end up, spending a lot of time on prelims, and therefore they are not prepared for mains. This is very, very important, because the whole idea, the whole exam, the reason why it's called as mains exam is because it has the highest weightage. And if you don't score good in mains exam, your chance of getting an IAS is over. So it's very important that you focus both on prelims and mains. Your exam should not be only prelim centric. It should be, at least at this part of the year, it should be more main centric rather than being prelim centric, because prelims is a qualifying exam. It's very important. Nobody is denying that. But if you're not mains ready, even after cracking prelims, it will not help you. Second, very important, answer writing inertia. Now, we wait till the time we feel that our subjects are completed, we have done enough revision, we have enough content, and that's a problem. That's a problem. When I'll explain the answer writing part, I'll actually focus more on this, that why you should start answer writing now, why it's not the time to wait till next 2 months or next 3 months. It's time to start now. Optional. So many of you, because I've been interacting with so many people every day, I feel that many people who are giving next year exam, they are still not decided about their optionals. Now it's a very, very tricky situation, I would say. The reason being that if you're not decided of your optional, time is running. You need to be optional ready by January end. Before you shift to the prelims mode, you need to be ready for your exam, because the whole idea is that कि optional में जो final acing, final जो X factor होता है, that is only done after prelims. But January end तक, before you shift to the prelims mode, your optional with revision, one revision should be ready. And also the problem is that people, they don't choose optional scientifically, and that's a major problem. They see that, okay, is optional ka rank 1 aaya, rank 2 aaya, le lo. It doesn't happen like that. And if you see the success ratio of all the optionals, more or less it's the same. So this myth that this optional is high scoring, this is not, it's not true. Whichever optional you feel is, it's easy for you, you have a natural kind of inclination, you need to go for that optional. And mind you, optional is different from your GS. So you can't really expect to write generic answers in optionals and get marks. So it's very important that you choose your optionals and you prepare your optionals by January. Fourth, very important, is the isolation approach. Like I think I did that when I started preparation. The first 1 month, I just took a room, or not a room, probably it's just a, I would say, what we call cupboard, or what we call cabin in ORN. And 1 year, for 1 month, I did not interact to my family, my friends, anyone, right? And then literally there was a burnout. After 1 month, it was just about that I'm not able to focus on anything, right? So it's very, very important that you study, you actually have a company of 4 or 5 serious aspirants with whom you discuss things, right? Because one more thing, when you are studying in isolation, there's this saying, right? This, frog in the well. So ultimately you will feel like a frog in the well, because you will feel that ultimately, I am the best. But this exam is a competitive exam. And since it's a competitive exam, you have to know that how others are doing. So you need to, you don't need to study in isolation. Now, next, very, very important, because a lot of aspirants, I see every day students committing this mistake, that they are doing PhD. Some of them are doing PhD in certain topics. If they feel that this topic is of their interest, they end up reading like 20 articles on the same topic, which I believe is a suicidal kind of a strategy. The reason why I am saying is because ultimately this exam requires average or above average level knowledge in all the topics, not just in one topic.
It can't be like that. You are an expert in IR and history, but you are weak in environment and science. You can't give an excuse that I am from arts background, so my interest is history and IR, and therefore I will focus on that. Ultimately, you need to be average or above average in all the subjects. And if you're doing PhD in certain topics, you'll end up giving so much time. For example, word history. Now, I have seen people devoting 1 month to word history. What's the point? See, ultimately, last year, no question was asked from word history. Before that, also, only one question is asked from word history. Right? Now, the cost benefit ratio is so bad. 1 month, you could finish polity and history. Right? So, if you like word history, that does not mean that you end up doing it. For example, this Israel and Gaza war is happening. Now, every day, every second, third day, we have an article in Express or Hindu. There's no point in reading those articles again and again, because once you have prepared enough content, right, on this issue, then only by just reading the update elements, I think you are done. You don't need to read the same thing again and again, even if it interests you, right? Similarly, not reading the syllabus properly and trying to read the entire book from cover to cover. Now, there are many books. For example, there are books. Vamsi, I think you need to get enrolled in the Smart Current Affairs program of Jayan sir. Uh, the other lectures will be conducted there. So for YouTube, we only have these lectures that are already uploaded. So Smart Current Affairs is also part of the Step Up also. So ultimately, not reading. So it means that, let's say you take a book called Bipin Chandra, or let's say you take a book called Nitin Singhania, Art and Culture. Now what will happen? There are a lot of chapters there. It has circus, it has other things, it has Bollywood, it has, I think, drama, cinema. Now, UPSC has not asked a question from these topics for many years. Now, the idea is that if you're reading that book, you don't need to read from page 1 to page 600 or page 800. There are areas where you feel that, okay, this is not important, so you can skip. So that's what we call as smart studying, that you need to see the syllabus properly, because syllabus is your Bible. You don't need to go beyond the syllabus, right? Now, ultimately, whenever you read something, you have to first think in mind that, okay, this is connected to GS2, this topic. So that's how you need to study. Because otherwise, अगर आप अपने आप को रोकोगे नहीं, there is endless things to study, right? Then ignoring the current affairs, again, that is very, very important, because I have seen aspirants doing this mistake that they wait कि चलो एक बार जब मार्च अप्रैल में कंपाइलेशन आएगा किसी इंस्टीट्यूट का, वही पढ़ लेंगे, अभी क्यों पढ़ना? See, the idea is that current affairs is not something that if you read this yearly compilation and you'll be fit to go. You need to be aware about the story and how the story is building up, right? Plus, if you don't read current affairs, how will you write answers? How will you attempt tests? So it's very, very important that current affairs is, it's a key. It's GS3 paper in mains, GS2 paper in mains, it's mostly current affairs. GS1 specific parts are current affairs. Prelims, many questions are directly from current affairs. So current affairs is something that you cannot ignore, definitely. And not making your own micro notes. Now, this is again something that is very, very important, because see, that's what I will tell you very bluntly, that I have not seen a single of any ranker, any of my student who got rank, who does not had a good micro notes. Because your notes, either digital notes or handwritten notes, these are something which helps you in retention. It helps you in revision. It helps you in updation. So having the notes is like, see, if UPSC is a war, your notes are your arms. If your arms are inferior, defeat is sure. So if you're going for a war, which is UPSC exam, you need to have your good arms, and these good arms are your notes, micro notes. This is another area where we focus a lot in our mentorship program, that we help you in making your good micro notes, because if your notes are made, half a job is done. Then avoiding late night preparation. This is based on personal experience. Like when I started preparation, I also used to do late night preparation, and I used to sleep at 7 in the morning and then wake up at 12 or 1. This exam has a long gestation period. This is different from your university exam, where you can do this firefight for a week or 10 days and you're done. This exam requires, it has a gestation period of 1.5 years, 2 years, even when you crack in the very first attempt. Now, for that time, if you're breaking the natural cycle, that will affect your body, your health. And when your health is not good, your productivity will fall. So my advice to you is that, you should sleep early, wake up early. I think that is the best way to go. Because when you sleep at 7, right? See, the reason why we sleep in night, because everything around us is completely silent. In the morning, I'll tell you a funny story that where I was living in that cabin which I told. So at 7, I used to sleep. At 7:30, this kabari wala used to come, and he used to go just next to my place, and I used to wake up, right? So I was sleeping for 5 hours, but technically I was sleeping for 3 to 4 hours, because at that time, when you sleep at 7, suddenly you start developing this disease called insomnia, and that hurts your health like anything. So it's very, very important that you study in the morning, my advice, and avoid the late night preparation, right? Similarly, not doing enough revision. Now, understand one thing, that when you study, let's say I did economics honors. So when I was doing economics, or when Richard did engineering, we mostly were studying same subjects, right? Mostly different types of economics. So this exam is very different, because you have 9 or 10 different subjects that you are studying, and these subjects are very different. Now, if you don't revise them again and again, at least 3 times, then in the actual exam, there will be a problem of recalling. You will not be able to recall it. You will say, acha, ye maine kahin padha to hai, but you will not recall the exact provisions, right? So for that, revision is necessary. And for revision, notes are necessary. So that's how the whole virtual cycle runs. Then preparing without plan or timetable. Now, this is again something which is very important, that ultimately understand this thing, that, if you don't have a plan, your mains exam or your pre-exam is after 9 months. You'll always have this casual attitude that abhi to 300 din bache hain, 250 din bache hain, dekhenge, right? But when you have a small target or a plan that, okay, I have to finish in 1 week this much, now you are always kept on the toes. You always feel that, I am missing something, I'm not studying properly, I have to finish that in 1 week, but ultimately, I'm not able to do that. So that ensures accountability, right? Preparing without looking into the previous question papers, again very important, because by analyzing the PYQs, you identify that, okay, some themes are more important from the other themes. For example, Panchayati Raj is more important, right? Or let's say cyber security is more important, because repeatedly UPSC has asked questions from these themes. Sustainable agriculture is more important, because every year they ask one question in GS3. So that's very important. By seeing the PYQ, you can go for smart studying. That is why in Step Up also, PYQs are our key. So the workbooks that we are making, the sessions that we are taking, mostly it depends on the PYQ. Moving on to the 9-month timeline that we will help you. So I have divided that into 5 phases, right? 4 to 5 phases till prelims next year. Now, this is technically a sample timetable, right? Based on your level of preparation and your strength and weakness, we make individualized timetable for everyone, and that is very extensive. This is just to show you. So let's say if an aspirant is reading 10 hours a day, let's say he's reading 10 hours a day. So the first phase, which starts from 1st September till 31st January, we call it as mains oriented phase. Mains oriented phase. So if you, on a weekday, this could be your daily schedule. If you are giving 10 hours per day, 4 hours optional, 4.5 hours static part. Here you have to focus more on the mains static part and less on the prelims. And 1.5 hours current affairs. Now Saturday you will keep for testing. Saturday and Sunday you will keep mostly for testing, which means that on Saturday you can give your prelims test, you can give your optional test, and you can read prelim specific content and current affairs. On Sunday you will go for the mains test. Mains test plus optional 3 hours and 4 hours you will read static mains. Okay, na? So this is the first phase, which will start from 1st September and will end at 31st January. Then we enter the phase 2. We call it as prelims oriented phase, because now 31st January you will close everything, the main stuff, and you will say, okay, I'll go for the prelims. But again, let's say you have been cracking prelims. Let's say you are very close. Let's say you are missing prelims by 1 or 2 marks. Or let's say you have cleared the GS1 paper, but you have failed in CSAT. In that case, your strategy will be different, because you don't require 4 months in prelims, so you probably would extend it a bit, and you will, probably, start at the end of February or in the first week of March. So it depends on individual to individual. Now 1st February, this is basically based on the importance of the subject. I have divided the syllabus or the days. So in the prelims phase, 1 to 15 February, you can start with polity, then modern history. Then after that, 14 days for economics, then 13 days for geography, 10 days for environment, 1 week for art and culture, 1 week for science and tech, and 1 week for IR. So that's how you can divide your subjects in the second phase. Now, date you have got. Now, how will you prepare from February? That I will show you. So ultimately, let's take polity as a sample. For other subjects also, you will do the same. So basically, what you will do, on the weekdays, you will read 2 hours current affairs, your general current affairs. 6 hours you will read that static part of that subject. So if it's polity, 6 hours polity. If it's economics, 6 hours static economics. And 2 hours you will read polity current affairs from the prelims perspective, right? On weekends, you will be focusing more on the test aspect. So you will be giving test, and you will be, focusing on static polity 4.5 hours and 2.5 hours polity current affairs. This is just a sample. Okay, na? So that's how you will continue till 28th April, right? After that, what will happen? After that, you will come to the third phase. The third phase, we call it as learning by testing. So here what you will do is, every second day, every day, or for 2 days, you will just give the test of that subject. The third day, what you will do, you will identify the gap. Okay, based on the test, these are the things that I believe that I'm missing, or these are the chapters I think I have forgotten, I have to revise again. Third day, you work on that. Let's say you feel that you are doing history test and you are ultimately ignoring, or you're not remembering the facts. So what you do is, you will brush up the facts third day. That is the third phase. And finally, the fourth phase, which is last 4 or 5 days before prelims, you will focus on the factual stuff, right? So you will focus on the factual stuff, that these are the factual stuff that I, ultimately, I'll go, for example, maps, for example, the art and culture. So these are the things that you will focus upon. Now let's go for the, from here, Richa ma'am will talk about certain areas, and then after that, I will be, talking about certain other aspects, like how to maintain consistency, motivation, how to prepare working full time. So all these aspects I will be covering in the end. So Richa, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, sir, and hello, everyone. So I shall be taking you through the gateway to mains examination, and this is prelims 2025. Prelims has been a pain point for a lot of aspirants for a lot many reasons. But to strategize all of it, first understand few things. When should you start the the preparation for prelims examination, the most important question to be answered over here. This is, right, today is the day when you should be starting the prelims preparation. Why am I saying that? Because prelims and mains examination, though nature are slightly different, the kind of questions that are created are slightly different, but at the same time, both of them cannot be prepared in silos. They cannot be separated from each other. So when you are preparing for the mains examination, like as sir has guided you about, you should always be mindful of the prelims prep. So it is through the mains prep that you will enter into the prelims mastery and not the other way around. Also, to those of you who feel that I will develop the prelims mindset and the prelims aptitude once February will come, that is also not a very good strategy. The moment you start your preparation, if at all you are starting from the next month, September, and you're left with 9 months, from the day first, you should be looking out for prelims. Also, when I'm talking about when you should prepare for prelims, I should also take you through the nature of the prelims examination. You guys already know that prelims examination used to be very analytical, but as we see the changing matters, as we see the changing patterns, so we will observe that it is not just factual in nature, it is also very much analytical. So both the aspects are there. For example, in this year, Operation Sadbhavna was asked. So this is not analytical, it's very much factual. Also, one more question, how many times delimitation commission was constituted? This was asked. So this is a straight away factual. So gone are those days when elimination techniques could lead you to clearing the prelims examination. So now is the time when both factual and analytical aspects have to be taken care of. Now, once you know about this, you should also know one more thing, that prelims is not at all an easy game. It is not also a tough game, but it's a tricky one. To crack that, you need to build something known as prelims brain. And this prelims brain only comes from practice. So the best strategy to clearing prelims, if I answer this particular question, it is through basically practice. Practicing what? Practicing something which has been told to you again and again. First is your basic core concepts. They should be solidified, they should be revised, they should be practiced. You should also bring prelims mindfulness whenever you are studying any chapter related to GS 1, 2, 3, and 4. The second aspect is current affairs. So with the rising importance of current affairs, as you can see in the last 2 years of papers, we could very easily decipher that if you're ignoring current affairs or if you're procrastinating about current affairs and waiting for some yearly compilation, this is basically a short way to fail prelims examination, because prelims is a combination of many things. First is your core concepts, second is the current affairs, and third is analyzing the PYQs. When I'm saying you have to analyze the PYQ, you should be very thoroughly prepared and aware about all the options given in each and every question of the PYQ at least last 7 years. So in this particular program, we also bring for you the PYQ analysis of the last 7 years. Now, when I talk about prelims is a game where you have to be a jack of all the trades. You have to average out on all these three components. Let's say if you're very good in environment, if you are very good in polity, does it mean that you will crack the paper? In fact, you would have seen some of the PhD scholars struggling to clear the prelims examination, because this is a game of plain averaging out. And averaging out can only be done with a summation of time, which means you have to continuously put in efforts over a long period of time. Then only it will lead to prelim success. It will not happen overnight. It will not happen in 3 months. It will not happen in 4 months. So be mindful of that as well. Now, talking about prelims, you have to create a subject-wise preparation strategy as well. When I'm saying subject-wise preparation strategy, I mean to understand the high-yielding topics of all the subjects that are there. What are the high-yielding topics? I will be guiding you through, but at the same time, also doing the PYQs of the subject. So you have to plan things out in such a way that you are maximizing on the high-yielding topic. What are the high-yielding topics which are having the highest frequencies of getting repeated, right? What are these repeated topics? So we have researched it for you. Let's say in polity, on the basis of PYQ analysis, it was found that some of the chapters gives highest returns. For example, chapter on historical background, chapter on preamble, chapter on salient features, amendment, fundamental right, fundamental duty, DPSP, Panchayati Raj, judiciary, 5th and 6th schedule, parliament, a very important chapter. And how to read them? You have to read them in parallel, let's say you're reading president, then you have to read it in parallel with governor. Now, these are some of the very high yielding topics which one could very easily understand because they are doing what? The PYQ analysis. You can also see the frequency chart. Can you see that it is averaging to about 20 questions per year? So this particular topic, polity, becomes very important. And these topics are further more important within polity. Okay. So we have talked about a particular subject. Now coming to the importance of CSAT paper. So a lot of you must be having questions. CSAT, we are struggling with CSAT. We are struggling to clear the cutoff for CSAT. You must know that we only require 33%, 66 marks to clear the CSAT paper. And every year, 14,000, 15,000 people are clearing it very easily. Not saying that CSAT is very easy in nature, but what I can tell is, if you prepare particular themes, which will be guiding you further in the program, if you will prepare a particular number of themes and their PYQs, cutoffs will never be a problem for you. So depending upon your comfort level, depending upon how comfortable you are with mathematics or with logical reasoning or with English, what is your basic standing on all of three respectively, on the basis of this, you will be able to strategize CSAT and you'll be able to crack it very easily. The only knack to crack the CSAT is PYQ analysis and having core conceptual clarity on some of the topics which are very frequently asked. So when to start for CSAT preparation depends on your comfort level with three genres of CSAT. Depends on your comfort level entirely. If you're really struggling with it, I think it is better to obviously join some kind of courses so that you can learn it all over again. All right. And at the same time, if you're comfortable enough with CSAT, or you just need to brush up your mathematics analytical skills, you can also start it from January onwards. Need not to worry much about the CSAT course right now. Okay. Now, talking about current affairs, played a very, very important role this year. So when I talk about current affair, this year, science and tech, economy, environment, geography, these were the areas which took huge chunk of pie of the cake of current affairs in UPSC prelims examination, right? So when I'm talking about current affairs, where to prepare it from? Prepare it from very conventional sources, that is your Hindu newspaper and the Indian Express. But in this particular year, it was seen that the Indian Express gave a better yield as compared to the Hindu. Should it mean that I should stop reading Hindu newspaper? No. It means that while I'm reading Hindu newspaper, I should also be reading at least the explained section of the Indian Express, because that provided much better yield this particular year. How to prepare for current affair, we'll be dealing with it again in the next slide. But before that, when I'm saying we need to structure and plan all the subjects, this is the kind of model structure that we have created for you for the next 9 months. Okay, here starting with 3 foundational subjects. Why are we calling these foundational subjects? Because without the knowledge of polity, without the knowledge of economy, geography, you will not be able to catch up with the other subject of mains examination. And these are core subject of prelims as well. So them along with some of the augmentations of mains core subject, this plan will be given to you if you join the Step Up Mentorship program. All right. The next part is to assess yourself on a daily basis, on a regular basis. Now, why is it very important? Because without assessment, you would never know how well you are swimming in the pool. It is just almost like, the example that sir gave, that you are a frog in the well and you know how big the world is because you could only see enough, right? So assessment is very important part. And after the end of every week, we produce an assessment test for you on the basis of topics that you have already read in that particular week, right? Now, talking about the PYQ analysis and why is it important? So I was telling that preamble is a very important, a very high yielding topic, right? So how can I predict that? Because a lot of questions that came in the last 20 years were directly from the theme of preamble. So just by reading that very tiny paper, that very tiny chapter, you were able to maximize a lot of marks in the prelims examination. How could we identify that? With the help of PYQ analysis. So first theme was preamble. Evidence is straight away clear over here. The next part is according to UPSC examiner, what does constitutional government means? The sources, what is the source for this question? It is basic NCERT, 11th standard. But every time the answer was same. It is a limited government, limited by the constitution, limited by the terms of constitution, right? So this is about PYQ analysis and how to strategize the prelims preparation. Every weekend, you should be giving a paper. You should be taking a prelims test. That is very important. Now, coming to the next topic, which is the role of mentor in your preparation. Now, take it like this. Today is actually a very good day to give you an excellent example of mentorship and the role of mentor in ensuring success to a person. So, today is the day of Janmashtami. Who was born in this day? Lord Krishna, who was the mentor and guide of whom? Pandavas and eventually Arjuna, Sarthi of Arjuna, right? So who won the entire battle of Mahabharata? It was Pandavas. Why? Did Lord Krishna teach them how to use the arms and how to, use the weapons? No. They were already taught in their preschools. But what he taught, what he did for them was to strategize their entire game on the basis of their individual strengths, on the basis of opponent's weakness, and to understand the entire battlefield for them before they could even enter into it. That is the role of a mentor. Mentor is here to teach you what is the battlefield and how to fight there, and moreover, how to perform the application of knowledge. So the key over here is application of knowledge. But when you are coming to me and when you're reaching out to me and you want mentorship, I will not treat you and the other person coming to me as the same people. Why? Because it is more like a doctor-patient relationship. Every patient is coming with a different medical background, is coming with a different medical history, which needs to be diagnosed, and then only some kind of medicine could be given. Agreed or not? So here also in this particular case, all the mentees are different. All the mentees are unique. They have their own strengths, they have their own challenges, and we have to work upon it, because end of the day, the success of a mentor is defined by the fact how well their mentees are good in securing the success in the examination, right? So here, the role of mentor is clear to you. Of course, we provide you personalized guidance here. We provide you feedback on your performance. We keep you motivated. Emotional support is there. And also, we provide you strategic planning at each and every step of the moment. Okay. So, though it can be an arduous journey, 9 months and a lot of ruthless preparation could take a lot of your brain space, could take a lot of your emotional, systems. But at the same time, with the help of a mentor support, lot of the things which could drain your willpower could be delegated to the mentor, and with the help of their experience and knowledge, they'll be able to guide you better. So this is the role of mentor. Who could become your mentor? Anybody. Your parents, your teachers, a professional could become your mentor. But what happens is, though everybody has got the same intent for you to clear the paper, your parents, your teachers cannot sit with you every day, every week to target you, to give you accountability, to set certain responsibility on you, to evaluate your success, to evaluate your performance, to tell you the right feedback. Not everybody has the time for that, though intentions are same. So therefore, a professional mentor comes into play over here, and therefore a professional mentor is able to give you the kind of guidance which is very target oriented. That is the role of mentor in UPSC journey. Also, when I'm saying that one size doesn't fit all for all the student, what I mean is that every student is a different batch in themselves. Every student can be categorized into some of the categories broadly. It could be a pre-qualified student, a mains qualified student, person who's doing foundation, person who's doing also optional classes. Things would be more rigorous for them, right? So their planning, their strategy should be different as compared to others, especially those who are beginners, especially those who are working professionals. So there has to be different routes for each and every student, but the destination would be same. So mentor ensures that you reach your destination as soon as possible with the smallest amount of inertia possible. So that is the role of mentor over here. Now, we also help you divide your preparation in organized phases, as I have already shown. The next thing is, how do you manage the time? So, time is something which we want the most, but we use the worst. And I think you all will agree with me on this. So, how to manage the time? And the person who's able to manage the time effectively is able to control most of his life. And that has been a set fact. So therefore, Most of the high achievers that you see, they are very disciplined, they are very regular and sincere on time. There is a reason for that. And there are certain good habits that you as an aspirant also need to build up if you want to clear the examination. One of them would be time management techniques. Now again, there is no one solution for all the things. There is no one particular technique you need to follow. It's going to be mix and match. So depending upon the human nature and what kind of problem you are facing, there are going to be multiple techniques we are discussing here. First is, ma'am, first struggle is I can't even sit down to study. Even if I want to study, I can't open the book. So for that, the first time management technique is open up your book for the first 5 minutes. Just commit yourself to be reading something for just 5 minutes. And you are good to go. The moment your brain finds or breaks the inertia of reading something or consuming something, it will consume it for a longer period of time. That is the first time management technique. This is known as breaking the inertia. So take it from here. The moment you feel any inertia, just open the book for 5 minutes. Commit yourself only for 5 minutes. Okay? And you will see that you could study for a longer period of time. Second issue, ma'am, I can't maintain focus. If you can't maintain focus, see anybody, if I'm telling you that do a task or a target for 24 hours straight, or assure your time efficiency in 24 hours, nobody would be able to do it. But if I tell you, can you do something good enough for 1 hour? Could you do it? Yes, because I'm breaking my time. So the more you break your commitment, the more you break your, basically not commitment, but the more you break your time and consolidate your commitments into it, the better you will perform, the more efficiently you will perform, right? So what happens in this case is you have to follow something known as Pomodoro. So this is an app or a website which you can very readily use. In the Pomodoro technique, you only commit yourself for just 45 or 50 minutes span of time, not more than that. After that, you take a 10-minute break and again you resume. This is the second time management technique. The third problem, ma'am, I can't decide when and what to study. Now, this requires a more longer term commitment. So how does it happen? First of all, you have to strategize your entire year, break it into months, break it into weeks, and then break it into daily targets. As a mentor, we already do it for you. So you don't have to do it for yourself. The moment you have strategized, then go on autopilot. Like how whenever you wake up, you feel the need of having boiled lukewarm water, or you get the feeling of having or doing the brush. So why does it happen? Because your brain doesn't have to give a second thought to it. Why is it happening? Because you're on an autopilot mode. So for this, commitment to schedule is very important. So if a person knows that from 10 to 12 person has to read polity, or if from 2 to 4 has to do answer writing, if upon doing it for about 21 days, you will be able to break the inertia and this will get into your habit. So naturally, you will start doing all these things. And this is known as time chunking method. Okay, so you can also perform this. So based on what kind of time management problem are you facing, some kind of techniques can be there for your relief. Okay, now what if I'm doing all this, but there is nobody to overlook into it? There's no accountability for me to maintain it on a regular basis. For that, again, mentor comes into place, especially the step-up mentors, because every day you have to mandatorily send this daily report to your step-up mentor. So you will be directly accountable to them. This is how time management is made more effective inside the step-up mentorship program. So we have talked about Pomodoro technique, time blocking. We have talked about how to avoid multitasking, how to break the inertia, and we have talked about the prioritization matrix. What is prioritization matrix? Whenever in doubt, whether I should be reading a subject A or B, always think about what should be my priority. The farther you are from the prelims examination, the more closer your subject should be towards the mains prep. If you're starting from today, you should be preparing for something like optional or ethics or mains core subject, or topics which are more important for mains. And the nearer you come to the prelims examination, the priority should be moving towards practicing prelims test, practicing prelims core subjects, etc. Okay, so this is the prioritization matrix. And if somebody follows them, they will not struggle with the time management. Okay, the next pain point is how to integrate current affairs into the daily plan, okay, or into our study plan. So first of all, how do we prepare current affairs? What are the sources? I can broadly classify them into two categories. One is basic resource. Basic resource is what? The most famous newspapers. Newspaper includes the Hindu and the Indian Express. I have already told you that with the changing nature of current affair, Hindu newspaper has always stood its stance, but at the same time, the explained section of Indian Express has also become increasingly important. So you should be focusing on both of them. Now, what to read from them also becomes another topic, which I'm going to deal soon. But the second kind of sources, the advanced sources. What are the advanced sources? These are the explanatory daily videos on current affairs. These are the monthly magazines. These are the yearly compilation. These are advanced material. Why? Because they are more well researched of. Now you have got all these resources in the market. But what should be the best for you? First of all, no matter which kind of aspirant you are, whether you are a beginner or whether you are a veteran, you should be thoroughly reading your basic sources, that is current affair on daily basis. It doesn't matter if you're creating notes or not, but the basic sources have to be read daily. Okay. Now the second thing is advanced sources. Advanced sources and how are we consuming them? It keeps changing with time. So what happens is, let's say I'm just a beginner and I'm struggling with which topic to pick. And if I'm reading it, then how should I read it? Let's say I'm reading about SEBI, because SEBI was in news. SEBI was in news because it detained Anil Ambani. Now, is this particular news important for me? Not really. But SEBI, its work, its role, its evaluation, that is important for me. So how to get it from? Because if I myself go and do all the evaluation work, all the research work on every topic, it will take a lot of time. Also, there should be a time blocking for current affair, which should ideally be for 1.5 hours only. Which means, see, because what happens is current affairs knows no bound. Okay, you could start reading from Live Mint, Economic Times, Times of India. There's no bound to current affair, but there could be a bound to your time limit, right? It should be time limited first of all. And the second thing is the advanced resources should be made flexible. So if I'm a beginner, I will start with some daily videos on current affair, and I will also be doing the monthly magazines. Okay, I'll be reading the monthly magazines, not all at once, but every day I'll be dedicating, let's say, 5 pages or 3 pages of reading for the monthly magazine. This is how I'm going to manage my advanced reading. Once I know that I'm good enough, comfortable enough, made good notes of these advanced material. Also, whenever you are consuming advanced material, never just go through them, also create notes of them. It is a mandatory process. Once you have become good enough with it, you can now manage current affair by your own. So now you can maybe stick to the basic resources only. Okay, so the veterans out there, they're actually good with basic current affair reading. They do it very quickly, right? So this is how you manage the sources of current affair. Now, how to make notes of the following news articles, the reliable news articles, those which are relevant for the examination. So for that, Vajiram has got something to help you. So we in our Telegram channel at around 6 to 7 a.m. we already publish articles, list of articles from both Hindu and the Indian Express, which are important. So you can directly copy paste from that. Second is, in the Step Up Mentorship Program, we go some steps ahead. So let's say the topic is not taking sides. Now this is talking about India-Ukraine and India's stance on the Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, now this deals with which part of syllabus? IR GS2. And which micro topic? India and its neighborhood relation or the impact of other countries' policies on India. Okay, now in this particular thing, what shall I be reading? From both prelims and mains point of view, it should be what is the significance of Ukraine to India? What is strategic autonomy? What is the impact of this visit on India's relationship with Russia? Okay, and how can India mediate peace with both the countries? How can it be a peacemaker for them, right? So these are the topics which you should be reading. Again, the next topic is the road to 2024. This is talking about Indian agriculture. Okay, what you should be reading over here? What is this scheme? What is PM Fasal Bima Yojana? What is ENAM? What is agriculture share to GDP? Is it declining or is it rising? What is the number of employment there in agriculture sector? So all of these things, the prelims aspect and the mains aspect, will be covered each and every day in the Step Up Mentorship Program. So we go a little step beyond the Telegram publication. The next one is how to prepare smartly. while working as a as a professional. So while working full time. So this is something which Sajal sir is going to deal with here. So Sajal sir,
Yes, yes.
can you please come?
Thank you, Richa, for your very insightful techniques that you have discussed here. It shows a lot on the kind of experience that you have. And so taking things forward, now this is something that is perhaps very burning issue for many aspirants, because they are doing a job, they're working full time, and after working full time also, they also want to prepare for UPSC, and they feel that perhaps they'll have to quit their job or they'll have to quit their dream, because they have to choose one. Well, actually you can choose both of them, and we have many president of that. Rank 2 this year, Animesh Pradhan, he was working full time in Indian Oil. Many of my earlier mentees, I think Maurya Bharadwaj was there, AIR rank 28, Shishir Singh rank 16. They were working full time. They never left their job. One was in the IT job, one was in the state PCS, so he was doing a full time job. So they prepared and they cracked the exam without leaving their job. Now it's very much possible, and many, if you see this year's list also, so many names you will find that who have worked full time and who've never left their job and they've cracked UPSC. But in order to achieve that, you have to go for smart studying. You can't end up, reading class 6th or class 5th NCRTs if you're, let's say, left with 5 hours of time every day. Now, definitely in 5 hours, you can't really focus upon all the aspects. You will have to be very selective. You will have to select the, first of all, right optional, the optional that actually you are very much aware of, the optional that is not that much lengthy, the optional that is perhaps aligned to your graduation subject, because ultimately you have limited time. So you have to be very selective. Secondly, focusing on high yielding areas. Now, that's what I'm called smart studying. There are 800 themes of mains, and there are 1000 themes of prelims, which are more important than other themes. So definitely, if I am short of time, I'll be perfecting those 800 and 1000 themes. I'll ensure that if the question comes from the theme, it will not be wrong, or I'll be writing a good answer in that. So prioritizing is very important. Third, discipline and accountability. The reason I'm saying that is because since you have a job, like, recently I met with a mentee and she had a full-time law job. And the biggest reason why she joined the program was that she felt that sometimes because of meeting and the work pressure, I get too much busy and I just forget that I also have to prepare for UPSC. So having a mentor in that sense helps you, that he or she can keep you accountable. But you need to be very disciplined. Like, literally, I saw the progress journey of Animesh Pradhan also, and literally he was very consistent. When I was talking to his mentor also, he was, always the inputs were that he was very consistent despite working full time in Indian Oil. He was always regular with tests. He gave some 50 tests. He was regular with tests, regular with prelims, regular with mains. So that's very important. It's very important that you be consistent with your preparation. Fourthly, making short notes, and before that, utilize weekends. So weekends are very important, because ultimately these are the days when you can do the heavy lifting. So you can, study for 10 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours a day. So you have to stretch the weekend so that you can compensate for your lack of time that you have in the weekdays. Making short notes, again, either you make your own notes or you get very good notes from the market or from the toppers or from, let's say, an institute, and then build up upon it so that it saves your time. Because ultimately it's very difficult for you to make notes from the scratch, because you have limited time. Having good handy notes also helps you that in future, let's say after 3 months, after 6 months, you will not be requiring, you'll not be going back to the basic books. You will be referring to your notes. And lastly, under the right mentorship, because a mentor can help these working aspirants by idealizing or making a plan that actually helps you that in 5 hours you can cover the maximum or the most high priority themes. Moving on to the next issue. So, if we talk about the next issue, which is maintaining consistency in your preparation. Now, this is something which is again very important. Like, if let's say I talk to 10 mentees, 6 or 7 of them raise this concern that they are not consistent. There are good days, there are bad days. Some days they are studying 16 hours, 14 hours a day, and then they are not studying at all for a few days, right? And this is very natural. The reason why it is natural is that this exam has a very high gestation period, and definitely to maintain consistency for 18 months, 12 months, it's not really easy, right? So therefore it's very, very important that you maintain consistency. Now, how will you maintain consistency? First, very, very important thing is keeping realistic targets. So if I make a target of 16 hours or 14 hours a day, or let's say if we make a target that in 1 week I will finish the whole polity, now it's very difficult to achieve that. Very difficult. Because 16 hours, 14 hours a day, you can't do it. This exam is not like your BSc exam or your BA exam or your BTech exam, right? You need to maintain 14-hour schedule for 1.5 years. It's impossible to do that. So setting realistic targets, which means something that you can achieve, right? So one is having a realistic target, hour wise, realistic target, content wise. Because if you don't have realistic target, then what you will do after 4 days, you will say, yaar, nahi ho pa raha hai this week. I think next week I'll again revise the targets and I will again start again. So what you will do, 3 days you will do nothing, right? Secondly, having a weekly target instead of daily target, because weekly target is something that you can, because there would be days, there could be sometimes a family emergency, your parents would be sick or you would be sick. So it could happen that certain days you are less productive than other days. So it's important to focus on the weekly target, because if you focus on the weekly target, then that is always something that, let's say if Thursday ko aapki nahi ho pai padhai, so Friday ko you can do the firefighting and you complete. Similarly, set guidelines, very strict guidelines for yourself, which is that ultimately, I had to finish it, right? This is a kind of deadline you should set. Ki aaj shayad 2 baje, chahe 3 baje, chahe 4 baje. If let's say you miss the deadline, you should feel guilty about it. You should feel guilty. You should feel in a way that perhaps my journey towards Labasna has become tougher. This kind of attitude you should have, right? I mean, literally, I still remember. I will tell you a story of one of my student, Seali Matre. She is right now in IFS Forest Service. So she was, allocated Indian Police Service, and there is a rule that if you are allocated IFS, you can't give the exam again. And this girl, so she got into IPS, and there was very much chance that she will be upgraded to IFS. The DOPT had also told them that. So she gave prelims, and then after that, for 2 months, so mains was after 3 months, for 2 months, she was studying 15, 16 hours a day or 10, 12 hours a day. And she was so consistent. Every week she was writing test. I even advised her that most probably you will be getting IFS, and then there's no point of working so hard. But what she did was that she said, sir, agar 1% chance bhi hai na कि मेरे को IFS नहीं हुआ और मेरे को फिर से एग्जाम देना पड़ा, so I don't want to take the chances. So this is the kind of commitment you need for this exam, right? So ultimately that is it. Then you need to set accountability for you. Now, what is accountability? So for that, in Step Up also we have kind of a ramp sheet where a mentee fills it every day, that this is the work session, and then in this work session, this is the subject I am dealing and this is the break I am taking. Every day the mentee has to show this ramp sheet to the mentor to set the accountability, right? Then breaks, taking frequent breaks is very important, because again, understand one thing, that you are not a machine. Taking a break in every 10 days, I think there's no problem with that, because the whole idea is that 1 day of break will refresh your mind, will improve your productivity. So whenever you take a break, regular breaks you take, go for a movie, go for an outing, go for a stand up. You are not here to just work hard. You also have a life, and you can't really contain your natural urges. So it's very, very important that you take regular breaks, right? Then smaller win ensures bigger win. How do you maintain consistency? How do you maintain? If you believe that, okay, my target is to crack UPSC, and you're focused on that, now you are giving the exam after 1 year. You're writing mains after 1 year's 3 months. The result will come after 3 months. It's a long process. How will you get motivated? How will you remain motivated? Because ultimately you set smaller wins target for you. When we say you set smaller win targets, which means that, let's say you keep a target that in next 1 month, I will improve my score, polity score, from 80 to 100. Let's say you have set this target. ठीक है? अब क्या होगा? So अब ये होगा कि let's say after 1 month, you were targeting 100 marks in polity and you got 100 marks. That is a bit of joy in your whole preparation story. You'll feel that, okay, you have achieved something. You had targeted 100 marks in polity, you've got 100 marks. So smaller wings, and the same, then you do it for history. So that's how you keep yourself motivated for this long process, right? I mean, I believe there is a documentary called Karam Ke Veer in YouTube about Labasna, where they have it shot by the FTTI, and you have all these people from very humble background, and they are talking about their journey, their story. Music is really good, the background music. I think you should watch that. When I was preparing, I used to watch that at every frequent interval to get motivation that this is where I have to reach. Literally, day before yesterday, a lot of students who got into IAS, IPS, IFS met me, in the office, and they were all very excited. Ki, sir, 2-3 साल से जिस लबासना को we used to worship, now we are going there. So this is something that should keep you motivated, that after cracking this exam, the kind of difference you can make in the life, the kind of life you will be having, the kind of impact you will be making. I think that's very important. And lastly, regular assessments, because by assessments, you know that if you are working hard, you're getting good marks, you're improving. Because if that sense is not there, after some time, you'll stop working hard. So it's very, very important that you do regular assessment test of prelims and mains, right? Because when you do regular tests, then that is something, then that will keep a check on your progress. So that's how we do it in step up. You have in prelims, these are the kind of, if your question is wrong, we consider the wrong question under these gaps, and these are the gaps we try to fill after every test. The mentor tries to fill. Similarly, in mains also, we have these parameters on the basis of which we decide that, okay, how much your answers are improving, how much you are improving the content, the structure, the dimensions, maps is there, how good is your conclusion. That's how your report card is made regularly, right? And you also have a rank, so you can assess your performance with other aspirants. Now, when to begin answer writing, that's very, very important, very, very important. Because I said that, in the beginning only, that it is the answer writing that is the key. It is the answer writing that is the key. It is through answer writing you clear this exam. There is no other substitute. Now, if we talk about the answer writing, why do we people ask me, when should we start answer writing? I always say you should start answer writing from day one. Why you should start writing from day one? Because when you start writing from day one, it helps you in 5 ways. Number one, initially when you start answer writing, it helps you in revision. And mind you, you adapt this when you write an answer on a topic. Let's say you write an answer on NAM. After 3 months also, 4 months also, you will not forget the topic. So when you write, it helps you in revision. Secondly, when you write early, you actually also, you are made aware of your strengths and weaknesses. And okay, you're writing answers, these are your strengths, and these are your weaknesses, right? So over the time, you end up working on your weakness and you try to strengthen your strong points. So that's how, just after the prelims, when you are focusing on the mains, you already have developed, you already have grown, because answer writing is a process that takes time. It's not like, I can tell with the experience of Animesh. Animesh, his answer, the first test and the last test, it was very different. That's why you actually progress with time. You progress with time. It's not like something you start from day one. You progress with time, right? That's in answer writing also. You are not something that, day one you'll write toppers like answer. You'll gradually progress, right? Thirdly, it also helps you in develop this mental calmness, because when you are completing the paper on time, when you are thinking, your thinking process widens. You feel confident that in the actual exam also I can write answers, because ultimately it's very important. When you write answers, you also think from different dimensions, pestle approach, stakeholder approach. You think from different dimensions. When you think from different dimensions, it actually opens up your thinking process. And gradually, when you write more and more tests, that thinking process, that brainstorming process, it becomes faster. And that is what is required in the actual exam, because you write answers in 8 minutes. Now, in 8 minutes, you have to write an answer. If you don't have that brainstorming power, quick brainstorming power, you'll not be able to write a good answer. Fourthly, when you write answer early, you are able to understand over the time, your speed will improve, because you have to complete the paper in 3 hours. And fifthly, over the time, when you read the model answers after attempting, it also builds your content. It also builds your notes. So that's why it's so important to start answer writing from day one. That's why we also have 40 tests in step up, because I have always said that thing. Till January is the mains time. If you want to clear the next year exam, January तक तो mains ही करना है, maximum focus. Prelims भी रहेगा, but major part will be focused on the mains exam, right? So I think that is I think we have discussed today. Now, if you have any questions, I'll take up the questions also. And mind you, 9th September, the batch is starting, the batch is closing, and there's a form that is there, so you can fill the form to avail the scholarship also. Okay. So somebody is saying that, can we write a topic, specific topic which is important for maximize? Okay. See, any good source of magazine you can take. That's up to you, completely up to you. And the only thing is that whatever magazine you are referring, just refer to one source, because the whole idea about this exam is one source, multiple revision. That's how you go. Okay. I think that's all about how to improve English language for UPSC preparation. For that, you have to read the Hindu paper. You have to understand one thing, Manvendra. You don't need to have a Shakespeare kind of English to crack the exam, right? Basic English written well will give you marks. So for the spoken English, if you're not comfortable with English, you can avail your interview in the vernacular language also. It's possible, right? For writing, I think it's better to read the Hindu paper. It's better to read magazines, identify the good words that are there in these books, and ultimately you can use them in your answers. Strategic table showed by the ma'am. We'll try to mail you. Okay. So I think that's all for today, and let's don't lose it, because we are 9 months away, and let's crack next year exam. And you do the hard work. We guarantee you we'll give you the best guidance. Thank you.